Shamima Ali, Coordinator, Fiji Women's Crisis Center.
I am David Nawandra Banvano, Minister of the Methodist Church in Fiji. I'm currently the General Secretary of the Church, and was elected at the last conference to be the President-elect for the Church, and that will come in 2015, January.
My name's Drew Slatter, and I'm a USB student studying journalism and marine affairs, and I also work in the media.
Well, I guess when I was in secondary school, but more so when I went to university and participating in marches and rallies organized by and being part of the nuclear free and independent Pacific movement.
Yes, it was in the late 70s and early 80s that we were part of the campaign against the French nuclear tests in Mururoa. I was a student at PTC, Pacific Theological College, and the campaign was coming from USP, and we had a big march here in town, and we ended up in the French embassy, which was down there at the what's the name of the place now? That's where we met the French embassy and sort of confront them with the issue of nuclear testing. That was when I first came face to face about the difficulty and read up some of the leaflets that were given to us. But I have heard it before then, but that was the first time I was sort of part of the campaign against.
I think, like a lot of other young people, Hollywood sensationalizes war, and you hear about it there when you're young. I learned a bit about it in high school in history, just the beginning of nuclear warfare and the development of nuclear weapons. And I'm ashamed to admit I don't know very much about it. I'm not as aware as I should be about something that, that massive and that detrimental. So yeah, possibly around high school time.
Well, for me that's a no-brainer, but since you asked the question, definitely because of the harm it does, that it can do, and we have already seen people, survivors of the nuclear blast and so on. In Northern Pacific and Tahiti and in Japan and so on. So anything that is that harmful and can annihilate the world, I think we need to get rid of. But also the amount of money, there's so much poverty, there's so many issues around the globe which needs resources and particularly finances and so on, and the amount of money that is being spent on that, compared to, that's another reason why we're wasting resources on something that actually doesn't give life, but actually ends life.
We have seen the effect of the atomic bomb in the Nagasaki-Hiroshima saga of the Second World War. And at that time, the race of having more weapons, nuclear weapons, was right at its peak. Russia was trying to catch US, or the Soviet Union then was trying to catch the US, who should have the biggest number, and all the other countries were trying to follow suit. And we were at that time as students, we were saying, you don't have to kill someone 10 times. One time is enough for that person to leave this world and go. And the number of nuclear weapons then, would have killed the whole world so many times. So, and that's what was the race for? Because there were other major issues in the world then that was needing attention, the poverty and all these other issues. And yet the big boys of our world continue to have this weapon race. So that was the reason why why we stood up as students then. And I think my heart is still there of any other attempt to increase the nuclear weapons now. You know, what for, eh? What for to kill us maybe more than 20 times now, or 5 or 50 times. You know, don't have to die 50 times. You know, once is enough. So why waste those valuable money in things like that? You know, when there are people dying of hunger every day, or every minute. So yeah.
First off, I'd ask why we need nuclear weapons in the first place. You know, I can think of so many reasons why nuclear weapons shouldn't even be an issue. First off, obviously environmentally, it doesn't just affect the immediate area, it affects it for, you know, decades afterwards. You know, you see Hiroshima, you see Nagasaki, you see Christmas Island in the Pacific, you know, and it was always something so far removed from me because, one, I didn't grow up in the time when all the activists were fairly active here, but also because when you think nuclear weapons, you don't think Fiji, you don't think the Pacific. But I took a trip to Christmas Island, the Kiribati one, not the one in the Indian Ocean, and I asked them a bit about, you know, the effects of the nuclear testing nearby, and they were very... The older generation was sort of accepting almost, because they'd been fighting that fight to get justice for the effects that it had had, and they were almost resigned. And the fact that, you know, we're sort of resigned or detached here from something that, you know, can have that much of an impact is scary because it's, you know, it's a reality, and it's I don't think there's a big enough problem in the world to have a big enough weapon like that. So I mean, yeah, that's possibly why one of the reasons I think, you know, we shouldn't have nuclear weapons. I don't think it should be a question. It's a given, you know.